Okay, so HP storage, where are we?
You need to redo white balance.
So
White balance is fine.
I was all primed to kind of come here and pre-announce quarterly earnings, but John told me that that would be bad form. So I'll kind of let you know where I'm getting some of these figures from as we go through. So from our most recently reported results, HP storage is up. External storage is up 11%. The most notable, the 3-par family, that part of the business that came to us last September, has been growing in the triple-digit range, quarter over quarter over quarter. So we're seeing a huge uptake there, and we've got 1 or 2 3-letter companies kind of on their back foot with some things we're doing with 3-par. Overall, the HP storage business, tape and everything incorporated, up 4%. And we saw a nice lift in the channel, up about 10% overall last quarter. So up and to the right, which is exactly where we're aiming. Now, as it relates to some of the segments in the business, high end. Why do I talk about high end? We're going to talk a bit about 3-par. And the fact that 3-par really represents kind of a new definition of tier 1 storage for what I think about as, kind of a highly virtualized or IT as a service ready environment. In that high-end segment, we are up more than 70% by Gartner's figures from calendar Q3. And if you follow that stuff, that's the segment 300K and above. Okay? Almost 3% share growth, 2.9% share growth. In that same report, EMC was about flat. Okay, so we are on fire from the high-end perspective. The other note, what's that?
It must not be good to be HVS.
The other noteworthy area, and an area to pay attention to moving forward, we're going to talk about why, is what's going on in kind of purpose-built backup appliance space. HP, number 2 in that space. Number 1 is a pretty big, has a pretty big lead. But we love a good challenge, and the fact that we have achieved kind of number 2 in that space in such short order ought to tell you we've got some pretty good stuff going on. In the first half of the year, and this is IDC data for first half calendar year 11 that was reported about a month or so ago, showed us number 2 and shipping 31 peta in the first half in that space. Now, and I don't know if you guys follow this kind of stuff, but inside of HP, we used to talk about ourselves as HP Storage Works division. That was the storage business. And that came from our EVA heritage from many years ago. Well, the HP storage business today is pretty different. And we're going to talk about some of those differences today. And because it's so different, we've actually kind of rebranded ourselves as, look guys, we are HP Storage. And Storage Works is absolutely a part of that, but we've got 3-par, and we've got left-hand and iBricks and StoreOnce all going on in the business. Okay? So the new HP Storage, you can kind of think about what we stand for, where we are investing for customers, 3 ways. One is we invest in our established platforms. What are those? MSA, EVA, XP. We invest in those because guess what? We've got a load of customers there. 100,000 EVA customers, by the way. A load of customers there who've got to get more out of what they've got on the floor today. So drive investment in optimization and efficiency for those guys, and kind of the way we think of it, eliminate the barriers of today, between today and tomorrow for those customers, right? Allow them a path to their next gen data center. We're investing in converged storage, and I'll break that down for you in a second, but converged storage really aims at what's needed for the new data center to handle virtualization, IT as a service, cloud, big data, content explosion. Converged storage is all about 3PAR, left-hand, Ibrix, and Store Once predominantly. We're going to talk about what's going on there, but that is really all about knocking down the kind of the boundaries between server storage and network. And we're going to talk about converged storage and what it really means in a second. Okay? And then converged systems, that's really how HP and HP Storage is aiming to get our customers up and running faster, more cost effectively, virtualization in the cloud, in particular application areas. It is an integrated infrastructure stack, and we aim to eliminate the barriers between their infrastructure, applications, and IT service delivery. Okay? That is where we invest today. And we're going to talk mostly about our converged storage capabilities. I think at the end of the 2-day session, we are going to talk a little bit about virtual system, which has got some cool dynamics going there, but predominantly converged storage. Converged storage plays for us. You'll find that we're very much aiming at some of the fastest growing things our customers have going on. 3PAR, we kind of refer to it as utility storage, fundamentally aiming that at IT as a service, call it cloud deployments. I'm an old 3PAR guy, and the word cloud didn't even exist when I started working for 3PAR. So think service providers or IT groups acting as internal service providers. That is what 3PAR was built for. Okay. Left hand and our scale out SAN capability, very much aimed at virtualization environments. Left hand, long before HP had left hand was marching lockstep with VMware in the early days. Okay? And that heritage shows through even today. An unparalleled architecture, and probably our best example of converged storage today, and we'll talk about how. Ibrix and scale-out NAS, awesome scale-out file technology, aimed at large content depot, archive, that content explosion. Again, the word big data has kind of gotten a little bit like cloud, a little bit overused, but big data environments as well. And then Store Once, and increasingly our customers are still doing a lot with tape. Tape isn't going away, but increasingly doing a lot of their backups to disk. It's growing like crazy, and great deduplication is a way for our customers to save big bucks on those deployments, and that's exactly where Store Once is aimed. But not just at the backup appliance. Store Once is really something we aim across the data center, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Each one of those areas, very high growth. Each one of those areas are the reason why we're growing so well as a multi-billion-dollar business. So, what is converged storage? I'll break it down 2 ways. So converged storage, there are really 3 building blocks, and I'll start from kind of the top-down management. When we think of the converged management, the wrapper around converged storage, there's 3 layers to it. And you'll hear the word autonomic a lot, especially when you're talking to 3PAR folks about how management goes there. But inside the controller, we drive autonomic management, which fundamentally means the system is doing more than the administrator used to. So instead of a guy at a keyboard provisioning capacity or rebalancing the system's doing it. That is autonomic. It's reacting to workloads outside of the system. So converged management starts with that autonomic built into the controller management. Okay. On top of that, there is one pane of glass, one management application across server, storage, and network, right? Instead of 3 or 4 or 5 management consoles to see how things are going, it's one, okay? And then on top of that is really an orchestration layer, so you can serve up infrastructure faster to get your applications up and running. And that can even be extended to serve up your apps as well, infrastructure to application orchestration. That is converged management, okay? We think that that's pretty different than what the market's got today. Second, and probably the thing we talk most about, is the software built into converged storage. We talk about the software being scale out and federated. Why scale out federated software? Well, what we're aiming to do is drive greater efficiency in the storage platforms, simpler growth. There was a study done maybe a year ago where folks reported that it was 40% faster to grow on a scale-out architecture. A lot more efficient, you buy less capacity, and we're going to talk a little bit about federation, but I think you'll get a dose of it later on, what that means in terms of just managing your overall resource. It's kind of the next big technology in storage, I think as big as virtualization. And then finally, converged storage is built on a standardized platform. Here at HP, we've got probably the best, certainly the industry's leading server platform technology. So that means what you get is very cost-effective, dense, power-efficient, modular. So we have absolute A rating in terms of the platform that all this stuff lives on. Now, the market we serve is broad, right? From a tiny closet deployment for a small business or maybe a small branch, all the way up to the biggest data centers on the planet. So we actually think about our design centers with engineering in two ways. We think about kind of a utility design center. And for those developments, we're thinking about how we handle what we call unpredictable multi-tenancy. That's what service providers, folks who are virtualizing their data centers are finding is happening with IT overall. And so there are specializations we'll drive in, and you'll see some of those specializations come through in the 3PAR product, for example. We also have a virtual design center, and that's really geared towards driving really storage much closer to your applications. Okay? So you might find a system that's got server, storage, network, app, all in one system with one pane of glass to manage. So those are really the two design centers within converged storage we're driving. Okay? Does that make sense? It is. Think of converged storage as an architecture that underpins 3PAR, left-hand, hybrids, and store ones. And in fact, across those, they all share an operating system, or most of them share a common operating system to deliver those block and file and deduplication services. It is more than a vision in that over the past 3 or 6 months, we've made some pretty significant announcements that kind of speak to the strategy we're driving around converged storage. First was last August, we introduced the 3PAR P10000 V-Class. This is really top of the family, the most powerful storage platform in the industry. Not only did it bring with it a great deal of horsepower, but what's 3PAR known for? Efficiency, thin, right? It brought with it some great new thin capabilities to drive efficiency even higher. The interesting thing about a lot of those efficiency technologies in storage, typically the trade-off is I want to run fast, so I'm going to probably put a little less on my drives so I get more horsepower per app, short stroking. On this platform, again, fill the drives, deliver maximum performance. There's no trade-off between efficiency and utilization. The other thing that of significance we announced around 3PAR and left-hand was kind of our first introduction of storage federation technology called peer motion. So federation, what is federation? Federation is a way to take the highly virtualized capabilities within the skins of an array and now drive that out to the walls of the data center. So you can kind of treat your pool of storage the same way you were treating a highly automated, highly virtualized array, whether it's shifting volumes around, different tiers on the fly, whether it's creating new availability models, active availability models. Storage federation really enables some cool new stuff, kind of where virtualization stops short. And peer motion is kind of that first step down that storage federation path. It really brings non-disruptive workload mobility to your data center. And so customers love peer motion because it allows them to non-disruptively retire an asset and roll in a new 3-car, new left-hand array. They can, without spending weekends and nights, move data from one to the other. It's kind of the vMotion for your data. Okay. That was in August. You're going to hear a lot about 3-part coming up soon. I mentioned the world record benchmark. When it was published, interestingly enough, it doubled the previous world record, which was another 3-part system. Since then, there's been another company to publish, but this benchmark is still 80% above that number. And interestingly enough, look at the utilization difference here. Again, 80% full of data running that fast, right? That's what our customers need, greater efficiency out of their storage environment. So it's not just all about performance when we publish these things. The other thing we did, and this was more recently in November, we introduced kind of a new family member to our StoreOne's communication lineup called the B6200 high-end scale-out platform. Part of what we were aiming at, I mean, deduplication isn't new, and folks have taken great advantage of it. But a couple of things are going on, right? I have a big virtualization deployment. My deduplication vendor tells me to buy one thing. I have a data center deployment going on. My deduplication storage vendor tells me to buy something different. 3 years ago, I bought something that's different yet. So I've got all these different algorithms running around my data center, and guess what? Every time I move data, I get to rehydrate it, move it, deduplicate it again. Transmission cost, time, all of that is sacrificed. We think there's a better way. There are scalability issues with a lot of the deduplication appliances out there. Most of them are single node. And even the dual node ones function as kind of 2 single nodes strapped together, right? So scale is limited. There's kind of the dirty little secret of deduplication. You guys heard this?
The rehydration times?
The dedupe tax, yes. A lot of us will talk about ingest rates, but divide by 2 or more for recovery time. And so when you need it most, performance is not where you need it. We think we ought to pay as much attention to restore times as ingest times. And then the fact that a lot of the appliances out there are single node in nature, or even if they're dual node, if you lose a single node, the backup fails. All backup streams associated with that stop, and there's no recovery. And so pagers go off, everybody races in to try to get their backups done, because if that's the fatal day for your data center, there's going to be heck to pay. Okay? So we think each one of those can be addressed in the technology we've been investing in, and we think that's what our customers need in this second wave of deduplication. The introduction of the B6200 was a step in that direction and addresses each one of those. Our backup software data protector also became StoreOnce powered. So it deduplicates with that same StoreOnce algorithm. So not only are we have that deduplication available with our inline target appliances, but backup server as well. B6200, you guys, this thing is a beast. It is about 3.5x faster ingest rate and 7x faster restore than, what's that?
I said, oh God, now I'm going to need more equipment.
Yeah, try to drive the ingest rate of this thing, which I think is about 28 terabytes an hour, in that range, something like that.
Nice.
Okay.
It's going to take a bunch of servers.
It's going to take a bunch of servers. And guess what? Restore is the same. Same rate. And it has that built-in HA because it's built on a scale-out architecture, and we leverage that cluster to keep backups alive if you lose even in that. So we think a pretty nice breakthrough in 18 months after introducing StoreOnce in the portfolio. We've got a pretty nice lineup.
No, just the fact you made it to number 2 in the market, coming from 18 months,
Yeah.
and the mind share that you've gotten compared to some of the other players is impressive.
Yeah, we've got still a long way to go. But yeah, it's been fun.
Make it up to half of it.
Well, especially when you consider data domain was a purchase, whereas the DDD stuff is all in-house.
HP lab space, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even that. It's just a head start that Quantum and Cephaton and the other 5 dwarves had. Both,
Left hand, let's talk a little bit about left hand. We talked converged storage, and if 3PAR has those multi-tenant specializations like virtual private array security and mixed workload capability and things that a multi-tenant, unpredictable environment needs, left hand has kind of the all of those elements that virtual design center needs. Think of first the VM-based HP left-hand VSA, virtual SAN appliance. This is left-hand running in a VM that you drop on your VMware or Windows server. To me, if that's not converged, I mean, this is shared storage running in software right on your server. I don't know what is. You have a little SSD on a server over there, not completely utilized. You don't need to buy SSD for this server. Your VSA can tap that and share that with other servers. The P4800 at the other end of the line, this is a blade system based left-hand system, and in that chassis you're able to address a pile of drives, either block, file. Right alongside that, you can have your Windows blades, your VMware blades, you can have VSAs, all in this chassis, right? Left-hand blades, X3000 file gateways. Excuse me.
Hey, is that David Scott calling?
What's that?
David Scott? No.
So the bottom line is, a lot of folks say, well, guys, what's your story for Unified? And I say, look, if you're looking backwards, if you're looking at, kind of a traditional approach, you're looking at Unified. But Unified, especially for our, branch office customers, our SMB customers, it's not unified enough, right? Because you've got storage, you've still got to think about server and network. Our approach, this convergence, is exactly what folks need. So they really worry about their app, and we provide them with a system to deal with the rest. Right? Another example, recent example, was also announced in November of converged virtual storage, is our X5000 file appliance. This is basically a tiny little 3U system that runs in effect, a Windows cluster, file server cluster, 32 terabytes of capacity that's expanded to 128 terabytes and up to 26,000 users, right? Starting in 3U.
So it's 2 nodes of Windows storage? Server?
2 nodes running Microsoft Cluster Server, sharing sys and NFS. Okay?
It's a Windows storage server.
It is running a Windows storage server based. Okay, so which means what? Built-in antivirus, great DFS capabilities, all the stuff that you don't get for your Windows environment from the other guys, right? And again, you know, one system, 3U instead of 30 things you have to go buy and integrate yourself.
And both nodes are inside that 3U.
Yeah.
And they
Yep.
expand that.
Yeah, the nodes, the array controllers, 32 terabytes, all are inside of here, and then you simply add drive shells to expand up to 128 terabytes.
Windows, guys, Windows.
Yeah, we thought you'd like that, Jeff.
And so, again, another great example of, you know, one thing doing it all.
It's a nice chassis.
It is a great chassis. We're not talking about it today, but we have a chassis that might look very similar to that, powering a Exchange appliance. Very similar approach. Right? A couple of Exchange servers, highly available.
Would make a lot of sense for,
capacity.
it would make a lot of sense for that.
Yeah.
It's only 2 nodes, it doesn't make a lot of sense for it.
Yeah.
You need 3 nodes for it to be useful.
You need 5 nodes for that thing to be useful.
Sure.
And being able to get them, being able to go to 6 and 3 cabinets.
You cluster across the boxes though. You get, 2 or 3 boxes of it. And
Or you can just have a few ESAs going and off to the races.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point is that X5000 is a Windows storage server, but what was the supportability to modify it to do something else? I'm thinking like a POC for a View environment or a POC for really any environment, Exchange, View, you name it. It would be an awesome tool for those of us in the bar
Just
community.
use it as a general bladelet server.
Yeah.
We've had that question a lot, and I've gone off and asked, and there's no technical reasons why. It's more just, is it really an economical package to do something like that? And it's, maybe when we get some of those guys in here later today, the product managers, we can talk
They
more
could
about
easily do, I was thinking with that chassis, there's so much potential. You could do, like for the SMB market, a branch office in a box, or
Yep.
VMware in a box,
Exactly.
where you could put
Yeah.
ESX on 2 servers, you have all this storage, there's your branch office.
Yeah. Yeah.
3U.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I love that chassis.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Great chassis.
we all agree we want a DL5000. But you're the storage guy, so you have no influence over that.
So bringing it home, but marketing guy's been up here long enough. I want to leave you with virtual system. Now, virtual system in reality is not new, although debuted under that moniker last year. In late 2007, HP with 3PAR and VMware debuted something called Justin 3CV, right? Late 2007. And in fact, the storage component wasn't part of HP at the time, but HP had the vision to see what a lot of customers were driving back then, pre-acquisition. So 3CV as a construct for a great virtualized infrastructure stack was put in place then, and it was formalized in 2010 under a single SKU, now from one company, one support contract. And the cool thing about virtual system is it's completely upgradable to the cloud system and all that cool orchestration and portal-based provisioning that folks love in that environment. Virtual system is, the only, and these are not my words, virtual system is probably the only thing out there challenging BCE today, right? And we have customer after customer who asks, what do you guys do versus BCE? When we go through it, we never hear another thing about BCE. Why? One company, easy to order, simple to size, one support contract, and probably most importantly, when they tear it down to server, storage, and network at every layer, we can talk about the best of breed capabilities at each layer, right? At the end of the day, you know where to go, you know you've got the best stuff. It is cool stuff, and I think at the end of tomorrow is when we're going to dive into that a little bit more. Okay? All right.